Hello and welcome to the Gallant Few Rangers podcast. My name is Mason Stewart and I'll be your host this evening. Got a full squad tonight and plenty to talk about as always. Starting with Andy. How are you, Andy?
Yeah, Mason, I'm good. As good as can be expected after last night. Mixture of emotions, not all of them good ones. But I roll on the summer window.
100%, mate. Agree with that. And next up, we've got Curry. How are you, Curry?
I am absolutely fine. It was brilliant before I came on and I seen you three handsome sods and I was like, I'm the odd one out the night, I take it. I'm fine. Watched the game last night. I enjoyed the game last night. I know the result wasn't brilliant, but I enjoyed the game.
Yeah, we've got a lot to get through on last night. And lastly, we've got Craig. Craig back on. How are you, Craig?
I'm not bad, Mason. Long time no see. Thanks for having us on, guys. And it's nice to finally meet Andrew and Curry. Similar to what Andrew was saying there, mixed emotions. See, to be honest, I've checked out for the state season. Even at the Old Firm game, it was nice to batter them, but it's all about next season for me. And there was actually a bit of peace that I got knowing that these guys aren't, as much as they've done amazing for us. There was a bit of peace that I got out of last night, seeing them say bye. But I'm sure we'll touch on that tonight.
No, I definitely did as well. More McGregor and Arfield for me. I did feel it, but the other two, I was like, really glad they're going. But we will come on to that. But Andy, we'll start with last night's game then. Morelos, McGregor, and Kamara all come into the team to start. Was you surprised by that? I was. I know. Listen, it was always going to be McGregor's and Morelos' last game at Ibrox, so you can understand why Bill's put him in. But I thought McCrory was playing really well, and I'm not sure Morelos deserved the start. And then you add in Glenn Kamara, who we haven't seen for months and months, and he was invisible last night, even playing the game. So, were you surprised that they would put in? Obviously, Scott Arfield was one I would have liked to see start, but he come on for the bench. So, was there any other surprises in there? Was you pleased to see them, get their final start and farewell?
I kind of thought you might see. I was thinking you'd get Allen in there. I still think we had the best opportunity at the cup final for him, and I'll stand by that. You subbed him on for the big hurrah, and then you brought him back for another year. Morelos, I mean, it's a frustrating story. We've kind of had to deal with Sakala for the last few weeks because he's not been fit or he's been injured. He's kind of checked out, obviously, but now we bring him in tonight, last night for his last hurrah, and it was just as much as we'd seen for the rest of the games he'd played this season. Kamara, I was hoping it would be a short window performance. If he does well, he's in the short window. But again, we just seen Glenn, the same Glenn that we'd seen. No changes. It was just a bit disappointing. I can maybe understand it, but the performances were lackluster for me at best.
Yeah, Curry, what do you make of that? Obviously, Glenn Kamara took a lot of criticism for his performance last night, and listen, rightly so. Andy said there you thought it might have been a shot window performance, but he hasn't kicked a ball in months. What do you make of his situation? And I know there's a bit of debate. We spoke about it, before we went live there about what kind of money we're getting for Glenn Kamara. For me, we'd be lucky, if we get in the 2 million mark, and that's a hell of a drop from what we could have got maybe 18 months ago.
Yeah, well, if he was putting himself in a short window, I think he'd be better in Pound Shop the way he played last night. He showed a couple of flashes, and he played the game half-arsed, and that's the way he's been playing the whole season. The rest of the team, I thought you would see them. I wouldn't have had the Griggs in yet last night. Griggs is going to get his stimmy last hurrah for his testimonial. So he shouldn't have. I don't think he should. Maybe brought in for 10 minutes and that for the fans that are there for the actual game to see him, because a lot of people will probably not make the testimonial. But otherwise, it was what we seen last night was as I said earlier, the epitome of our season, and it was using the players that we've relied on all season that has let us down. And that's exactly what happened. Defence-wise, the two goals we lost was shocking, absolutely shocking. My main man that I Tavernier with God knows what type of header. Griggsy no coming out the ball, no coming off his line. He should have come off his line for that. But it's his last game. I'm trying not to be too negative. As I said, last night's game was just a last farewell to some of the players that have gave us some good times. They gave us 55. Morelos for me has let us down a hell of a lot, especially the last 2 seasons. I was hoping they would score last night, and I did have a wee bit of a wee tug at the heart thinking about him leaving, because it's hard to not see you. We've had him for that long. It's quite hard to see the Rangers side without a Morelos, or even knowing that he's coming on. But overall, it's the best thing to happen, and we'll talk about the rest of them later on.
Craig, let's go with a first goal. Then Curry just mentioned it there. It was just a long throw flicked on Tavernier with a really poor header. But for me, McGregor's got to be, that's got to be the goalkeepers all day long. Obviously, it's a big, with a lot of talk about Jack Butland coming in, whether that will or won't happen. But just not even a minute in from the last game. And I know, as you said there, the season's done, but you still want to, we was on a bit of a run, just building up. Just want to carry that on. But as I said, 45 seconds in, we're 1-0 down, and it's another defensive error. It's just something we've seen all season.
So, see when I said about the performance and the result last night wasn't the kind of main thing. It wasn't ever going to be that. We managed to get a result against that other mob, and that was really the thing that I really needed from this team, to show us a bit of kind of light at the end of the tunnel. But see, when I seen the team sheet, I was really, really disappointed that McGregor started. I think you kind of set him up for a failure, because he hasn't been playing well the whole season. He's been culpable many, many times already. Then you throw into the bargain that he's reached an age now that rust is going to be a massive issue, and he's not played for weeks. So I think that listen, I'm nowhere near any kind of level of football, but if I was making a decision last night, I would have said to him, listen, you're getting on, but once we're about 2 or 3-0 up, not when we're going to be under pressure by a team that's challenging for Europe, and we want you to go out on a high. And the boys have already said it. See, for me, consistency. These players that played last night, that played for the last game at Ibrox, they were all consistent for what we've seen the whole season. Do you know what I mean? Consistent mistakes by McGregor, what you were saying there, Mason. Consistency for Morelos, instead of being in the box and being a danger and being physically capable about just completely bullying players. I was in Feyenoord and seen them absolutely battered by him. And then you see him last night, he's having to drop deep, and the only good thing that he can do is spray a couple of passes. That's really all Morelos has now, and it's sad that he's got to that stage, but consistently bad. Then you look at Kamara, and Kamara checked out after Europe last season for me. For me, it's not about form, it's about interest, and the guy is not interested. That's the thing that really, really gets to me about him. You've brought in players like Dowell. Dowell might not be the best player ever, but for what I've seen he will give dig. You look at Cantwell, dig. You look at Raskin, dig. And then you look at Kamara, and Kamara's he was actually just walking about. It was as if he was down in the park with his pals and thinking, when are we going to the shop, boys? I can't be annoyed playing now. And see, the only thing that he was doing well was see that one pass, back to goal, pass it back, back to goal, pass it back. It's the only thing he's good at. For a guy that absolutely strolled that game against Leipzig, and he was like a Rolls Royce strolling about that park, hitting the ball with the side of the foot and curling it in the back corner. That player's no there. He's gone. See, the fastest I've seen him move was New Year's Eve up in Hobongs when he was surrounded by his pals. That's that guy. See, for me, if you're not going to play by the heart, and you look at Wright, consistency again, right? Not good enough. Ran the ball out the park. Was leathering balls at Rangers players for passes, right? But he'll try his hardest. So I can. Do you know what? He'll go away for Rangers this season, and I'll go, do you know what? At least he gave his all. See, Kamara, I don't want to see that guy ever again. Do you know what I mean? And I found it really hard last night clapping for Morelos. And I did sing last night about him, but I find it hard because he's not cared. Like, see when he's been in pre-season, he's been doing what he's doing, and we've really only had one good season of him, full season, and that was 55. And by the way, that was only because Sanctuary nightclub was shut because of lockdown. That was really all. You know what I mean? As soon as Sanctuary was open back up, he was there. You know what I mean? So it just, like Curry says, it summed the whole season up. And then consistency. Arfield comes on and he just does what Arfield does. And I'm gutted that he's leaving. And I do get it. I do think that he's got a lot to offer for the next club that he goes to. But like I says, I do understand it. But I came away last night quite content that they players, Arfield not included in that, but the players that we've just spoke about, they're not going to be there next season. Because it's been, do you know, see that first half, by the way? And I know you asked about the first goal, but see that first half sitting in the main stand, it was brutal.
Yeah.
Really, really brutal, man.
It was. It was what, you know, everything we've seen this season in the bad part of the season, and it was shocking, Andy. The only good thing about that first half was that Todd Cantwell finish for me. The build up, I see someone today saying the build up was brilliant, but it was obviously a slip from the heart centre half that let Cantwell in. He still had a lot to do from the finish, but he probably didn't have his best first half in a Rangers jersey, but that's what he's got in his locker, that bit of quality when it matters, and it was an excellent finish. And I'll be very surprised if he stays fit all season next year if he doesn't hit over 10 goals for us, you know, domestically. I think Cantwell's more than capable of that.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I was at the game last night and went, fuck, it's not that long till half time. I'm going to go up and get a pie. I forgot to get my pie at the start of the game. I missed the goal. That said, I was absolutely fuming. I thought it was a personal attack, to be honest. As soon as I got my seat and went for a pie, we got the park and we score. I caught the replay of it. It's Todd's just Todd, isn't he? The Todd the Prodigy, not the other word. Prodigy, that's the one. Real talent there. That's Premier League decision making. I said every time he picks a ball or he strides immaculate. I think he's a real talent. He's up there with one of the best I've seen in my lifetime. I'm hoping that if he continues it, then he will be up there. Because we've seen that they'll always say about never love a lone player, but because I feel like we might have him for the length of time, we'll have a lone player, because I think he'll get picked up by somebody if he continues his star the performances he's had. If you look from stats, he's been brilliant. That's 4 and 4, the 4 in his last 4. He's certainly been one of the only bright shining stars since January. Him and Nico have been what I'm hoping next season could be, in terms of the signings we're bringing in. They've not let me down once. All I'm saying is more of the same, Todd, and keep it up. He's really getting himself engrossed in the kind of Rangers culture. He gets it right up the opposition. He's not afraid to give it back to the players he's playing against on the park. You've seen it at the Old Firm. He was constantly in the era of Callum McGregor and just laughing at him, which I loved. I want that. I want him to be kind of gloating at them, because he does have the ability to back it up, and he does. And that's all I can say. I'm happy if you're going to talk a big game, as long as you're backing up, and he certainly is.
I'll just on that as well. See, when you said about the with the Rangers culture, he's clearly done his research about things about Rangers. See, the first, I know that Morelos went up to Naismith, but see when he was on his way back to the centre circle, he went up to Naismith and started pointing at the badge and nodding. He knows, do you know what I mean? And it's things like that, like people from the outside might not think that's a big deal, but people talk about he gets it, and I've never seen a Rangers player get it so quick. Like Lundstrom, it took him a bit of time, and then he fell in love with the club. Like Cantwell had, like Andrew was saying there, he just absolutely gets it. And see, to be honest, I think out with probably the top tier of the Premiership, he probably wouldn't want to go. elsewhere right now. Do you know what I mean? He's adored. He's got the potential of winning things. And you said it there. He's got the potential, and I say the potential to be one of the best that we've had. Do you know what I mean? I've never seen, like, I came into Rangers, supporting Rangers just at the back of Laudrup and Gascoigne and all that stuff, and I've wished that I could see players like that. And I've seen De Boer that Cantwell, he strides about and all that, and it's like he's like just unbelievable. See if he can keep that up, he will. Do you know what I mean? Like, honestly, unbelievable. Sorry, I had to jump in.
No, you're spot on, and it is exciting to see, better players coming into the football club as well that could help. Imagine a proper number 9 and Cantwell playing. That's something exciting, hopefully, for next season. But Curry, Craig just touched on it there, and I want to come on to it, coming back to Morelos, because he's the one that had handbags with Stephen Naismith last night. I've just seen some comments about it there. Stephen Naismith, for someone that used to play for us and apparently grew up a Rangers supporter, I've got no time for him whatsoever. But that's probably one thing I am going to miss about Morelos is the only one prepared to give it back. But that's the only thing I'm going to miss about him. But what's your thoughts on Craig said that about Morelos, and happy to sort of see him go. I am as well. I think that, for the reasons that Craig said, and obviously even going back to last season, I thought he got away with murder. The fact that he wasn't back for that first Malmo game when we went out there with Cedric Itten and Scott Wright up front in a big Champions League qualifier because he didn't get back in time. I thought the support let that one go a little bit too easy. But what do you make of his time? At a football club as a whole. Obviously, only paid £1 million for him, but for me, 2 years too long.
Aye, well, he should have been sold. We got offered money, but hindsight's a wonderful thing. Morelos' time over Rangers, did we get our money's worth? Yeah, he's top goal scorer in Europe. You can't say anything more than that. Did the guy give us fantastic nights? Aye. Has he scored wonderful goals? Aye. Have we loved him? Aye. Have we hated him? Aye. Have we detested him? Aye. Have we forgiven him? Aye. But the first time that I really was like, I'm getting a bit sick of this guy, was when he came back and he was unfit for a second season in a row, starting off, and as you just mentioned there, for Europe, a big European tie, and they missed it, and that really pissed me off. But my final straw with Morelos was a Hibs game.
Yeah, same.
When he came on and he gets sent off, that was me. I was like, nah, just get rid of him. He's not worth it. Don't even offer him a new contract, because I think just at the time they said they were talking about a contract with him, and I was like, nah, don't bother. Just ship him out. I did have a wee tear last night when he came off, because think about a Rangers team without him, because he's been here for that long. But his performance this season has been absolutely chronic, and all but this game, he tried a wee bit, obviously his last game, but the two games before that, it was probably the two. Well, one of them was probably the worst performance I'd ever seen in a Rangers, for a Rangers player in a Rangers jersey, and I just went, nah, get him to. But I'm glad he got a send off. Will I follow him after his career? No. But that's the same as all the rest of them. There's only Scotty Arfield's the only one I'm interested in.
Yeah.
Because he was Rangers through and through. He was 100% professional on the park and off the park for Rangers. And that's why, same as Craig, did I want him to stay? This said aye. This said no, we need to move on. This is a new era. We need to move on. Which likes the guys that can't well. I said about 5 weeks ago, when he was just no long in, and I said he gets it. There's just something about him that I thought he gets it. He really does. And I was hoping that he is going to be a massive player for us next season, absolutely massive. But getting back to Morelos, because he was a subject. Last night, Morelos had the chance to leave Ibrox as a hero and a legend. If he had scudded that wee fucking Judas last night and got a red card, he would have left Ibrox with the biggest ovation you would have probably ever heard at Ibrox, and I was so hoping that he would. I didn't want to swear the night. I was like, right, tonight's the night. I'm not going to swear. and you brought that wee Judas' name up, and I can't do that without swearing about that bastard. I hate him. But it's just a pity he never scudded him, because that would have been magnificent, and the red card would have been worth it. And it wouldn't matter if Hearts Timmy battered this 6-2, it would have been still worth it for to see Morelos hit that wee Judas. Oh, by the way, I'm not endorsing violence. By the way, people, I'm just saying it would have been nice to. It was just it's hypothetical before somebody clips it and says, "Hey, oh, look, they're saying bad words."
It is weird that
it would have been brilliant. It would have been brilliant. What you guys would you have liked to have seen that? Would that have been class? Would that have been the best thing ever to happen for Morelos to leave? Really, honest.
Do you know what? It was weird when it happened. It kind of sparked us into life. It felt, once we seemed to come awake after that happened. But Craig, I want to come to the second goal with Sakala. Again, another player that gets a lot of stick. And I thought first half last night he was Hearts' best player. I don't think he completed a pass the whole game, to be honest with you. But then again, he starts running in behind second half and starts looking dangerous, and gets his goal and his numbers. To be fair to him. He's actually not that bad, but again, I feel like I've said this a million times on it. He's just not someone we can rely on week in, week out. I've got no problem with him staying, because we are going to have to keep some players for next season. We can't completely clear the decks, but he's someone that comes on for 15, 20 minutes when we're winning, and certain cup games, things like that. I think a successful Rangers team, we cannot be relying on Sakala.
You've hit the nail on the head there. Like, see if he was playing in the. If this season's performances by Sakala were in the 55 season, you're going, what a contribution that boy's had. Whereas now, it's like every mistake that he makes, you're like, fucking him again. Do you know what I mean? And it's like everything seems to be magnified, in my opinion, because the season has been so poor. And listen, he's no the greatest player in the world. He's never ever going to be the greatest player in the world, but numbers back up that he is actually really, really effective. What I don't want to be seen is that we think that he's effective as a starting player. And I think that he's the kind of humble type of guy that he's not going to expect to be that. I think he does know his limitations, and you can tell because he's Smith. Another infuriating thing about him, see when he scalps it into the Copeland or the Broomlow and he starts laughing, and you're like, what are you laughing at, mate? Do you know what I mean? You're like, you're getting paid 10 grand a week to do that. I've got no issues on the proviso that he's not someone that we're going to be expecting that he's going to be playing like 25 games next season. Can
I jump in, Craig?
Aye, go for it.
Sorry, buddy, for jumping in. Do you think Fashion had a decent number 9 in front of him, that he would be a more effective player with speed?
I think that what Sakala's got attributes that amount to being a really, really good football player. But what his problem is that he's not got a football brain. So Sakala really needs the ball in behind. And we've seen it, see when he played against Celtic and he ripped them apart. We were putting the ball behind and it was really effective. Now he'll do that every game in about 10. But then you'll see he'll come to the halfway line, you'll want the ball at his feet, and it takes him about 6 touches to actually get it out from under his feet, and then he'll hit it into Rose head as a pass. Listen, it can only help, but I don't think the guy's got the brains to actually put the attributes into actual action 100% of the time. He's got ability 100%, like Ted McMinn type stuff. Like he can play football and he's really effective, but again he'll run it into Rose head. Do you know what I mean? He's like a Forrest Gump type. Do you know what I mean? He would just keep running with the ball and smiling at the same time. Like, just keep running.
Stop! Stop!
And I think as well he relies heavily on players telling him exactly where to be and when to be. You see it all the time in the big games like Lundstrom and all that stuff. Like, and it's not to actually berate the guy. It's because they obviously know that he really doesn't know how to play a proper tactical game.
No, you're spot on, and that'll be the interesting one, because I think if Bill does get the players he wants in them forward areas, and they start playing a certain way, you just kind of think, how does Sakala ever fit into that? Because you're absolutely spot on, Craig. He doesn't have a football brain, and I've read a few comments and people saying, you need to teach him how to finish and teach him the offside rule. You can't at 26, 27. If you've not learned it by then, you never will. But Andy.
Also, sorry, see last night there was a few times, right? See with his pace, he was close enough that he would have caught players if he tracked back as well, and he constantly needs to be like goaded, and like players will scream at him. You see it week in, week out, shouting like, "Get back!" He done it against Celtic where he would turn his back on play if something didn't go well, and it's a kind of lackadaisical, just like doesn't he really get what his role is. And I think he's been told numerous times, it's just that he just doesn't know what his role is. But sorry, that was another thing that I've noticed as well.
No, absolutely spot on. But Andy, I want to come to you, because like, seeing it last night, obviously the 2 goals we conceded, we'll come on to the second goal we conceded in a minute. But it's just when we went 2-1 up, the game was there for me for us to go and hit 3, 4, 5. We were playing some actually not bad stuff, but the problem is we get in certain positions and we're just not clinical, and it's just not, last night. This is something that's happened all year. We take too many touches, our finishing's poor. Talking to Sakala, we're getting positions and we're putting it in, in the stand. You see Scott Wright come on and him give the ball away in good positions. Matondo the same, the final delivery. Morelos was still on, and we're putting balls in the box and he's miles away. So it's just not really about the goals we conceded. It's once we get in these areas, I've never seen a team be so wasteful.
It's as you said, that's just the season. That's summed up. It feels like we're good at getting the ball into good areas, but that final touch has just been lacking. I was thinking of a better word there apart from lacking, but I just thought if Rangers aren't going to try, I'm not going to try and find one either. So lack is what I'm going with. It's a question that we've asked from the start of the season. I hope that Michael over the pre-season and going into next season will have the answer. I do think with some new personnel, I think that will certainly help find that, put it together and find the answer. It's difficult. I'm seeing that us pulling off the same moves and seeing the balls hitting the same parts of the stands, and I swear I was watching repeats of games earlier in the season. It just felt like it felt like the classic Rangers game this season. We did well. We had the lead. We could have put it to bed, but we didn't. Roll in 80, 85 minutes, and you're starting to go, Hearts could be coming back into this one, and then there you go. Last night, all the way to the last kick of the ball, and they go and get the equaliser. I do think there's a mixture of that because of the fact that we were, for the first time, it feels like we've really had nothing to play for. At least the last few games we've been playing to see something new, something fresh, given that the Cantwell and Raskin free rein and looking at something that for next season probably. But last night felt like if there was a bounce game, so to speak, that felt like a bounce game from the Rangers' perspective, whereas Hearts were the complete opposite. And too right, they've still got a lot to play for, and from the first whistle to the last whistle, I thought they really showed us that we were in a game, and we took the foot off the gas, and they stole the point in the last kick of the game. I found it hard not to just watch Shanklin for half the game. I thought he was really, really solid for them. He seemed to be everywhere, winning fouls at the edge of his own box, winning the ball in the centre of the park, getting forward, striker's finish. I wasn't surprised when the first goal was there from out. When he said it was Shanklin, I went, "Oh, there you go." Because we were talking about that, me and my dad, before the game, doing the old Nesbitt or Shanklin question, and then you go within about 25 minutes, Shanklin opens the scoring. So it just felt like a really, really slow night. I looked at the clock and seen it's only half an hour played. This is dragging in, which isn't good as a Rangers fan. You want to be slowing down and you're seeing lots of football and enjoying every minute of it, but it felt the complete opposite. You're going, how is it no 45 minutes?
It was a chore, wasn't it? It was a chore watching that first half last night. But Curry, last bit on the game last night was the equalising goal, and I knew Davey T would be in the comments tonight, blaming John Lundstrom here for it, which he did have a part to play. But for me, it was Ryan Jack who's got to take the big blame for the goal last night. We're in comfortable possession. It's the 92nd minute and 30 seconds left of the game, and he's got the ball. He's got loads of time, and he plays a real loose pass and gives the ball away. The ball goes forward, and then that's where David T's talking about Lundstrom's the wrong side. But Ryan Jack, he assists it as well. He tracks back and ends up assisting it. But it's just not that. It was just such a sloppy goal. The last kick of the game, and just again, we've all said it, but it just sort of sums us up.
Well, first half, can't disagree with anybody. It was absolutely chronic. Our passing was shocking. We couldn't keep a hold of the ball. Couldn't put a pass in. There was nothing happening. Todd got the goal. Second half, a lot better. I thought there was some nice football in there in the second half. But the last 10 minutes, because I'm like, they're going to score. They're going to equalise. Because the last 10 minutes, we were farting about at the back. And it was only a matter of time. And sure enough, boss right across the middle. There was no need for it. Final whistle was just about to get played. But this is not the first time this has happened this season. How many times has it happened? I can think of about 4 offhand where we've been in the lead in a game and we've been farting about at the back, and a slack ball has been played that's cost us a goal and cost us the game, either through a draw or actually losing the game. So it's not the first time. I'm not that bothered about the result. It was 2 each, so what? I keep on bringing this. I'm repeating myself. It's like a broken record. It was a game that meant nothing, really. It was just a chance to say goodbye to some players, and that was all last night was about. So,
yeah.
I've seen some good things. I've seen the usual bad things for the usual players. So hopefully that'll be them. They're out now. They'll not be back, and hopefully the players that did get put on and yet again never showed enough that they're not trying. And what Craig said, they don't want to be here. It's pretty bloody obvious they don't want to be here. Get them in the shop one day, and it doesn't matter if you're getting buttons for them. We were talking about Kamara. You said that there was somebody was saying they would get about 5 million for him. No chance. You said maybe get 2 million. If we get 1.5 for him, I'll be ecstatic. If we get 1.5 million for Kamara right now, because that we'd be robbing somebody for that money, and for a guy that was probably worth between 6 and 10 million in this 55 season, it just shows you. I think was it Craig that said it was as soon as Europe was their way, he signed it. He didn't want to be here, and it was plenty of everybody. So the thing that upset me is he kept on getting played, and it wasn't just Beale that done it. GVB did it. I know he was playing him. I know. Yeah. There's no point having a player that's no interest in it. I would rather. I'm trying to say, I'd rather have Jordan Jones playing than Kamara, the way he made his attitude, because at least Jordan Jones wanted to be here. So and that's a big thing. Oh my god! So well, I'm glad it's my ball says he's after the wage bill. Get him after the wage bill as soon as possible. That's the best thing we can do. The same with the likes say, right, it's a brilliant player, but he's another Sakala. He's getting fit by brain. As soon as he gets up front, he does. He's just like a fart in a trance. He doesn't know what to do with the ball, and he always seems to make the wrong decisions. It's guys like that that are on the fringes that are just, I'm sorry, they're no good enough, and they need to be moved on to free up wages and to get better quality players in. And I'm hoping by the 2 players that we have got, with Cantwell and Raskin, that Beale's going to bring more guys in like that. And Dowell, I don't know how he's going to be. I've heard there's wee lassie I speak to, Shona. She's well clued up in her football, well clued up, and she was telling me that Dowell is a better player than Cantwell. He's technically better, and she thinks he will score more goals than Cantwell. If that's right, I'll be well over the moon.
Yeah, no, it'll be. I want to touch on Kieran Dowell in a minute, but yeah, if we get someone that looks better than Cantwell in a minute, then bring it on. But just on Scott right there, it looks like he's going to be joining Preston. So and I don't know how true it is, but it looks like we'll be getting near 1 million for him. And if we have, then Bisgrove, what a start he's made to his Rangers, his directorship by getting that kind of money. But Craig, someone we've not really spoke about, obviously, another one that's leaving is Ryan Kent. I'll hold my hands up. I was sat on here after the Old Firm game in January and said we have to keep Ryan Kent. But don't worry, very quickly changed my mind over the next couple of Old Firm games and his performances. I can't wait to see, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but I can't wait to see the back of him as well. To be honest, I think he's another one where something I could never really question Ryan Kent with his attitude. It's always been, defensively. You look at the games in Europe last season and years before that, he always gives you 100%. But I've just not seen it. And I think he won't play for a bigger club for us than that's for sure. And we need better numbers. What's your thoughts on Ryan Kent? Obviously, he's had a lot of stick as well for the way he was dressed at Ibrox last night. I thought that was pretty poor as well. But look, he's another one. He's going to be going. It doesn't really matter.
See what you come on with. It just epitomised Ryan Kent and where he's went in his Rangers career. Surely, when he walked in the door, there was a few eyebrows raised with what he was wearing. You would like to think there was more than a few eyebrows raised, kicking about with a skip hat on and stuff like that. Again, to outsiders with Rangers, you might go, oh, so what? But I think you look at Helander, full rig-out. The guy has not been fit for about a year and a half, still there in the Rangers rig-out. And do you know what? See, as the seasons went on, my eyes have been opened a wee bit more to the living, and I'm wearing my wee boys Rangers top, right, and it's got Kent on the back, and see when I looked at it, put it on, I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, because literally I can't wait to see the back. I was going to say about the loving, right? Have you ever heard Ryan Kent in an interview talk about how much he loves playing for Rangers Football Club? I've never heard him do it.
Not once, Craig.
Nah, and do you know what? See, when he was doing well, it wasn't an issue, and it was the Kent will tear you apart again, and Celtic are running scared of him. Lustig was running scared of him. Lustig would have been running scared of me, and I play centre half for an amateur football team, right? The guy was an absolute fucking bomb scare. So see, if he wasn't running scared of you, you shouldn't have been anywhere near the top 6 in Scottish Premier League. He's played well and he's done things, but nowhere near consistent as what he should have. Last season he was a man down domestically. Had it not been for the Europa League run, he'd have probably been getting chased a wee bit quicker than what he has this season. But again, it's like, see for me, see that likes of Kamara, Morelos and Kent, they're all self-serving. They're not there to serve the club. And when it was going well for us and it was 55 and we're seeing them all celebrating, they guys are celebrating their own achievement, not the achievement of what we're celebrating. Do you know what I mean? They're like, I've fucking done it. I've done it. Morelos is out with the Colombian flag. You're like, I'm like, where's the... I was going to say a different flag there, but I won't. The Union flag. Not the one with a handprint on it, but... see, because I wouldn't do that. But self-servants, and see when the chips are down. When the chips are down, that's when you see what the character of these players are. And you said it, like, see when Kent's get stuff to chase in terms of silverware, credit, playing on a big stage and putting himself out there and proving the doubters wrong, that down in Liverpool and all that stuff. That's when he done well. Morelos, whenever Morelos got to speak, or his agent got to speak, it was all, oh, he wants to play in a bigger league, And you're like, you fucking played in Finland 2 seasons ago, mate. You're now playing for one of the most successful football clubs in the world. Fucking settle down. that guy will be lucky to get Accrington Stanley the way he's playing me. You know what I mean? Curry spoke about as well, like following the careers. I think you'll find it very hard to follow Morelos' career. Do you know what I mean? It's like you look at Pena, you look at Big Eduardo, whatever his name was. Like I've got a kind of mind blank when it comes to that year.
So I
Eduardo Herrera.
Herrera. He's going to end up. By the way, his attitude was good. He was just shit.
He was alright. His mentality was alright.
He just couldn't run. But he's going to end up at a club like that. Do you know what I mean? Like middle of the road Argentinian or South American league, and he's. I think Morelos has got issues. Do you know what I mean? I think some people have kind of pointed to it within Rangers at times, and maybe not kind of made it public. But I think it's been pretty obvious that there's been issues there. Whatever it is, I don't want to kind of think me, but with Kent's the type of player as well that I think see if he could have earned money being a barber, like earning the same kind of money, he would have done that, or doing something else. He's not a guy that loves playing football. I think it's just a job to him that earns him loads of money, and even when he would score, you wouldn't see him really smiling. He didn't look as if he was like really enjoying it. But I left just before the goal last night, and my wee boy wasn't happy. But I said to him, I'd rather not applaud players that have caused me quite a lot of pain this season. Do you know what I mean? I've financially put out quite a lot of money to follow my club, and these guys have financially massively gained out it, and given me very, very little back. Do you know what I mean? And at times, like last night when Kent came out, Kent could have come out with something like with a Rangers top on, or a suit or something, but it's like, nah, I'm just going to wear a fucking hoodie and a cap, a skip hat, because why do I need to? Like, why do I need to? It's like that just and see, the thing is, it doesn't bother me. I'm like, nah, you don't need to, mate, get the fuck, just go. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't bother me anywhere, because again, you're going to end up in some no-mark club. But aye, it's good to rant.
No, you're getting a lot of love in the comments, and you're absolutely spot on, mate. I think exactly the same. Andy, I've just seen a comment there saying let's look to the future then. And from Jim Sloan, he's spot on. I want to ask you about Kieran Dowell, but just quickly, I want to say Scott Arfield, you know, Alan McGregor. We've all spoke about Alan McGregor. I think we will with his testimonial, so we'll save that for them. But Scott Arfield, what a servant for the last 5 years he's been. I just wish he was 5 years younger, because his attitude, as Craig just said about Ryan Kent and Alfredo Morelos, Scott Arfield's the opposite. And he on the pitch, I think Curry said earlier as well, in your head and heart are saying two different things. Off the pitch, he'll be really missed at the training centre at Ibrox. But you know, we need to be getting younger players in to play his position. But yeah, so just big thanks to Scotty Arfield. But Andy, on Kieran Dowell, then he signed yesterday officially a 3-year deal. Mixed reports we're getting sort of from Norwich fans, obviously Sheffield United fans, where he was on loan at as well, from Everton. Clearly got a lot of talent, but then that injury, you just keep hearing that about him. He's had a lot of niggling injuries. I think he's only played 20-odd games this season, which is a little bit of a worry. But as Curry said earlier as well, Norwich fans seem to think technically, I wouldn't say better than Todd Cantwell, but he's one that was getting ahead of Todd Cantwell. I think that's for different reasons, but certainly if Bill can get him fit, and I feel like we've said this with a lot of our signings, left-footed, something we haven't got in that midfield, but someone that can score goals from outside the box and maybe give us something that we've been seriously missing this season.
Yeah, I've seen a bit of Kieran Dowell in terms of the good old YouTube scouting. He's a name I remember always catching. I don't know where I remember hearing it, but it was weird. I don't know if I have to say, right, I know we don't like Stephen Naismith, right? As I said, I'm the youngest of the youngest generation. Stephen Naismith was fucking unbelievable as a player, in my opinion, until he did what he did. But as a young kid, I don't remember that as much, because I was still a really kind of young lad. and I paid attention to him every now and again down south. He was Everton, obviously, and then he went to Norwich. So I don't know if it's a kind of somewhere in the back of mind seeing Norwich and then Kieran Dowell being at Norwich and such. But I don't know. It's something I remember the name. Sometimes you remember a name from seeing it somewhere. And then I did a wee bit of looking into it more. We were linked with him, and then Beale today, kind of confirming some of the things I was thinking of. He's played with a couple of the guys. I mean, I thought he was Looney, maybe a nose through the Everton academy, and then Sheffield United. Obviously Todd at Norwich. Any clips I was seeing him at Norwich, it seemed like him and Cantwell were quite good at popping the ball together, popping it back and forth, and then playing Pookie in up front. Which if they've got that kind of chemistry at Rangers, I'd be happy with. Everything Beale said today filled me with a lot of confidence in him. It seems like he's really looking forward to working with him on the training pitch. I know that people have concerns. My one concern, which I don't know, and I kind of like the answer to be honest, is how do you pass a medical if you've been out injured for the last month or two? How does that work? Have you supposedly signed a contract and passed a medical? He's been injured, does he not? We were linked with an injured player, but he's passed a medical and he signed at the club. So I'm slightly concerned about that. But I mean, he's not going to be the only one that is injury concerns at this club. He's certainly got a lot of people to share the injury department with. So we'll just wait and see.
Mate, see, as long as he doesn't end up with like a fucking life-threatening heart scare, like
Namdi off a bar.
I was going to say we wouldn't pass medicals for that, but would they?
Yeah, we do. Aye.
Heart scares, broken legs, it doesn't matter. I'll just sign them. Fuck it, get a chance.
Aye.
Yeah, that's
Mason,
go on, Curry.
Can I just jump in? Can I say a big thank you to Cammy, yet again giving us 5 memberships to everybody. Thank you so much, mate. And Jim Sloan, you're another legend, mate. Thank you so much. It really is appreciated when you pay your hard-earned money to watch guys like me. Not so much the other 3. The other 3 are probably worth it. They're only fans alone. They make a fortune off that. But you've got me and Naughty to deal with, so I'm like the come down for everybody else. But thanks very much, guys. It's so appreciated. Thank you.
Yeah, no, appreciate that, Cammy, again coming in and giving away the memberships, and big thanks to Jim Sloan. I think you're doing yourself a little bit of an injustice there, Curry. But just coming up, onto Kieran Dowell, you touched on it there that you knew someone that spoke about him there. Quite good that we've done it early. Obviously, there is injury issues there, but we in all seriousness, I feel like we're due a bit of luck with some injuries. But how many do you think we can get in? Because there's all different numbers. Curry, tell me how many players do you think we should realistically be looking at from now to the end of start of September?
Well, I said before all this, the names were dished about, and before Dowell was mentioned and Cantwell and all that, we'd need the minimum of 8 first-team players in. That's minimum. We need 2 goalies because I don't know what will happen with McLaughlin. Hopefully they'll get money for him somewhere because I think he's got 2 years at least a contract. Obviously keep maybe Robbie in. Robbie's proved that he's good enough to know. Is he good enough to stay as a number 1? Debatable, but we need another goalie who's going to be a number 1 beside him. I think we need 2 number 1s. It's not a number 1 and a number 2. We need a number 1 and another number 1. So it doesn't matter if it's a big name. It just means it's somebody we can rely on that's going to play for maybe cup games or anything like that, and give whoever's been their number 1 the a rest. Defensively, we're not too bad. For me, you know me, I'd rather get rid of Tav sooner rather than later. Borna Barisic, I want rid of him. I think we've got a player in Yilmaz. I think he offers so much more. Midfield, I think we're doing not too bad. Lundy's coming back into a game. It's brilliant to see. Everybody was debating, should we keep him or should we leave him? If he can keep this form, you need to keep him. Because he has been playing well. Obviously, Raza and Todd, the prod, have been their certs. We gave. I've just had a brain fart. Ryan Jack, gave him a year. I think that's worth it because he is he can be when he's fit and if he stays fit. But the only worry for me is international. I want to give that up, and I know a lot of people they won't give up for the international football. It's my club. It's all us that's paying for his wages. No Scotland, the ones that boo him when he comes from the park. So I don't want him doing that. And obviously we need a right winger because we've not had anybody there for Cundius. I think that's maybe where that Dowell maybe play because I think he's a need to ask Shona to make sure he plays like a number 8, number 10 role. So maybe he'll do that. But up front we need the minimum of 2 strikers. Before I go on, we're talking about the future. Can I just say I've already been through with Morelos. I've got through with Arfield, professional one and off the park, thoroughly deserved a send away. The guy was amazing. Helander was their best defender at one time until he got injured. Thoroughly deserved. I think a good applause. It was just it was his fault he got injured and how long he was out. Griggsy, he'll get his send off when he gets his testimonial. As for that fucking Kent, I'll get everybody in the chat to confirm this because a lot of users for the Rangers rabble. Do you remember my phone-ins? Who was one of the guys that I used to slag off probably over a year and a half ago? Was Ryan Kent. I said then, get him out. He's a waste of space. He's garbage. Step over, lose the ball. Step over, lose the ball. That's all he ever done. And every now and again, he'd actually show a bit of brilliance. And McCraig said earlier on, he turned Lustig. I would turn Lustig. But nah, it was just, I'm glad he's away. And see, when he couldn't even put on a Ranger scarf or anything coming out. Hey, as he said, Timmy Kent is for himself. You're an absolute scumbag of a boy. And I'm glad he's gone. And see all these guys that gave him the plaudits. He's one of the most overrated players that we've ever had. And I'm glad he's gone. And we've got players now in, like Todd Cantwell, that gets it and wants to play for the team and wants to make us happy. You could tell the way when he scored, the way he ran up to the fans. He loved it. And Craig said it as well, because that used to drive me nuts when Kent used to score. And it was just, he just turned away in the celebration or not. And you're like, really? Nah, that guy's a absolute waste of a player. And I'm glad he's gone. But the future is looking bright. The future is looking orange.
Yeah. Craig, just seen there, Daily T said Tillman signing tomorrow. There's been a lot of rumours that Tillman could be signing over the weekend. This is you've obviously not been on for a while, but it's been one that's splits the support. That $5 million fee. What's your thoughts on Malik Tillman, Craig? Would you like to see us go and pay that for him? I mean, I agree with Curry there. Minimum 2 strikers. A lot of people have put, there's been no links of strikers whatsoever, which might be a good or bad thing. Bill did say a little while ago that there was one he wanted to get in January, but we couldn't do it, so we'd wait till the summer. But the only thing with me is if we're going to go and pay $5 million for Tillman, personally, I would rather that money go towards a striker. But listen, we might be able to do both. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes.
I think with Tillman, Tillman's went through periods of wowiness, and then he's went through periods of probably being one of, if not the most frustrating out of them all. Particularly see after the Old Firm game at Parkhead at the start of the season, where he was to say he was non-existent would be a overstatement. Do you know what I mean? And then you're right, the next Old Firm game he's going to actually show what he's all about, and then he failed to do it. And then it's the next Old Firm game he's going to really come out the traps, and then that game leading up to the games leading up to Hampden, where he started really building a bit of momentum, and you're like, he's going to do it. And then the first 5 minutes, he looked as if he was going to harass and fight for it, and do what he's been doing against other teams, and then he gets injured. So I find it hard to make a judgment call on him, because I know that he's got the ability. My concern is that he turns into another Kent. I think that he has the potential. See the likes of Kamara, right? Kamara, the likes of Rebo, they all had very similar, to me, characteristics, where it was like, when the going was good, they were fucking amazing, really, really good. When we really needed them to get the sleeves rolled up and fight, the way that I've been brought up, that Rangers are a hard team, we hard but fair, but we fucking get stuck in. They kind of players have taken us away from that. And then when you look at the likes of what we've brought in, like Raskin and Canto and Dowell, who I've heard is not afraid to get battered in as well. Lundstrom, Jack, Goldson, all players that have got a bit of dig. So that then leads me to maybe think, maybe with these players round about him, he doesn't need to be doing that. He can be just let go to do what he needs to do. But it's also hard to judge really what he is like around a team that we've been playing this season. Because see, the full team's been shit.
Yeah.
So like relying on a, what is he, 20-year-old?
It just turned 20, I think.
Coming away from his country and all that stuff, and expecting him just to hit the ground running. And I think probably the worst thing that could have happened for Tillman this season was the beginning of the season when he scored the headers, and he was getting a bit of space in the European games in the qualifiers, and you were like, wow, this guy's got something, man. Wow, he's got the potential. And then you then see him against Aberdeen and stuff, and it's like he's like not really wanting to get involved in stuff, and as soon as somebody hits him, he's out the game. Do I think that £5 million could be spent better? Yeah. Listen, I would like to think as well that if we are doing that there's a lot more money in the bank to buy other players. So that gives me a bit of reassurance, because I would like to think that we're not going Bosman mad this window. I think the Bosmans will happen over the next few weeks, maybe the next month or two, and then once June, July, it should be like the money signings. But yeah, on the fence, mate.
Yeah, no, do you know what? I've changed my mind so many times. You know, you look at the good and the bad, but I think you've made a really good point there, that how difficult it is to come into this Rangers team this season, and everything that's happened, and as a young boy, and just been the old firm games for me with Tillman. I just think he's been non-existent for all of them. And if we're going to pay £5-6 million on a player, we're expecting them to be our main man in them games, be the difference maker. Listen, he might do that, but remember what Gio done at the beginning of the season, European game away, and brought on Yilmaz at the end, and you're like, what are you doing? Like, could have absolutely ruined that boy's career with Rangers. And that's what I like about Beale as well, is that he could have put there was a lot of pressure on him to get Borna Barisic out the team, and I didn't want him in the team for the Old Firm games, but you put him into the Old Firm games, like Yilmaz, for example, he's then on the back foot going into next season, whereas he let a bit of momentum happen. Yilmaz came in for a couple of the lesser games, built himself up, and then he came into Ibrox, and he looked absolutely brilliant. Do you know what I mean? And now there's something to build on, where if he makes a few mistakes at the beginning of the next season, like, you're not going, nah, this boy's not got it. I think we probably were relying on Tillman too much, and it's like the Bayern Munich. Oh, he plays for Bayern Munich. He can't not be a good player. That's fine, but you can't expect. Look at Laudrup. Laudrup's first game. I remember the famous interview with Chick Young and Walter Smith, where Chick Young's basically saying, you've brought this player in, he's probably not going to be the standard of European football, and Walter Smith's like, what? And I think we've probably been guilty of that as a support, where we're expecting too much from a player like that. Do you know what I mean? I was going to use examples of that mob over there, but I'm not going to do it. I'd rather not speak of them.
Do it.
Yeah. I'm having a good night. I don't want to spoil it.
Do it.
I work with enough of them.
Andy, just on staying on the subject of signings, Michael Beale last night said in his post-match press conference that he said that we'd be signing not just young players, there will be a few players with grey hair. So he's obviously talking about experienced players. And obviously we had a little, joke in the group chat with a couple. There's been names today, thrown in the chat with John Fleck, Johnny Evans. Is there anyone out there sort of you'd like to see us maybe that little bit older? Because obviously we are losing a lot of experienced players. Steve Davis, someone asked in the comments earlier, what's happening with him? But I just think the club's helping him through a horrific injury. Really, I don't see him. He won't get. I don't think he'll play for us again, to be honest. But he will deserve a send off eventually. I think that was quite classy from the club to help him with his rehab, and would expect that, to be honest. But yeah, is there anyone else that names that you'd like to see us go and get? Obviously, a lot of the players we've been linked with are young players, which is what we want to see as well.
I mean, first of all, I think that's great that we're going to take care of Stephen Davis for the rest of his kind of contract. I think that's class but expected. I think was what we'd chop that up as. Stephen Davis is one of my favourite players in my lifetime. He was somebody I'd regularly get in back of football tops as a boy. The captain of the club, Brit, all-time most capped Brit, a real gentleman. I'd like him to take a coaching role or take an advisory role in some way. Whether he decides he wants that or not, it's up to him. I think the club are doing all they can, and it's up to Stephen. As far as signings go, a few weeks back, the only one I can think of, I said before the kind of Dowell thing caught full stride was, if you're going to get rid of Arfield, I'd consider Kenny McLean. But not now. I think if we're getting rid of Arfield, then I think Dowell's probably the better option of the two. We spoke about Fleck or Johnny Evans. I mean, I know wee Fleck is a Rangers man, but he's going back to the Prem. I think I think for his career, I think he'd do himself a favour and just stay in the Prem. Johnny Evans, I think he's all right. I've not seen much of him, to be honest. I know he was good in his younger career at Man United. I know he's kind of moved about since then. I know he's another Rangers man. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see who these grey-haired players are. Could it be Clint Hill for another year? Who knows? I'm half expecting to see Davy Weir rock out the tunnel at some point. But who knows? I'm happy with it because it does make sense. Anything that Michael said for me so far has been fine. I've not had many red flags in terms of next season. I know we've had things about him for this season in terms of I'm not going to pick such and such, and then you'll pick such and such the next week. He sometimes has showed himself up in a couple of press conferences, but in terms of next season, and I'm not too scared or worried of anything he said so far. As I said, anything he said today about Kieran, I'm happy with, and it makes sense. We got rid of some real experienced characters in the room. I think I said at the time I was saying at the time last season when we get rid of Balogun and Aribo and Bassey, you lost a lot of strength, whereas this season you're losing a lot of experience. So I think you need to recoup some guys have been there and done it. We spoke when me and my friends when Gerrard came in and we signed McGregor. You go, wow, it's a guy that knows what job he's coming in to do, what the task is for the club, and I think you need to find the next group of that for the upcoming season. And whoever that is, as I said, if Michael thinks they're the right fit, then I'm going to back the manager, because so far he's not been wrong for me.
It's just makes you think we've got so much to do with our recruitment. It's going to be an exciting summer, that's for sure. But that's coming us to over an hour, gents. So gonna wrap it up there. Curry, come to you first. Thanks for coming on tonight, mate. We've got one game left. What's your score prediction for St Mirren on the weekend?
Thanks for having me, mate. It was a good laugh. Thank you to everybody in chat as always. I love reading all the comments and all that. And thank you to the young team for making me look like an old fud. Cheers, guys. I appreciate it. Great to meet Craig for the first time and actually talk to him face to face. Good looking guy. Arsehole. Andy there, as always, coming in with his lovely blue room and young looks. Arsehole. And then we've got our Mason absolutely, Timmy, model material. I mean, see, you know he's got an OnlyFans. Arsehole. So, cheers, guys. It's been a great night. Thank you for everybody for coming and watching. I hope you enjoyed yourself. Hope you had a good laugh, and I hope we can get a win. And I want to see all the players that are on the fringes come out for the next game against St Mirren, who are thinking about or potentially going to be used next season. And this is our final chance to find out whether they are good enough to stay at this club. Because if they can't show in the last game of the season, they can't show Michael Beale that they're worth keeping, they need to be shown the door. And I hope that the signings and what he's been saying is going to be the title of the pod. It's an end of an era, and it's a start of a new one. And go out there and show the rest of the country what this team is all about, and just keep it going, because we can't afford another season like this. We just can't.
Absolutely.
So just before they go, I need if Sean is still in the chat. Anybody put a bet on today? Does the GGs? There's a wee horse. It was called. What was that? No Surrender. It was called today. It was 40-1. Just wonder if it won actually. So if Shona could let us know. Hopefully, No Surrender won. No puns intended at all. I'm just saying. So, right. Good night, everyone. Take care.
Craig, you've stole the show tonight, mate. That was good to have you back. Hopefully we'll get you on again a lot throughout the summer when these exciting transfers start breaking. But what's your prediction for the weekend?
Aye, and thanks for having me back. See for the last 6 months, if I was to come on the pod, I'd have probably got to shut down. I was that fucking demented with the club, and there's now. I says in the chat, right? See, before 55, I wouldn't be confident in the season coming up to the summer of 55. I was actually really, really confident. After 55, wasn't so confident. And you know, I've got a bit of confidence in me again about where the club's going. And I'm a bit of a glory hunter. I came on the pod when we were going to Seville, and then I kind of disappeared.
I'll see you since.
So what I'm saying is, guys, book your flights for the cup final next season because we're there. But aye, I'm very, very optimistic about where this club is going next season, and I would actually be surprised if it wasn't going to be a really, really good season. But predictions for the weekend, I think it's probably going to be more of the same. If I'm being honest, I'll watch the game and think about. I'm going to try and not get too annoyed if it's not what I want to see, because it's not what we're going to be seeing next season. Also, thanks to the boys for inviting us to the podcast live tomorrow at Edmondson House. If anybody's going tomorrow night, give us a wee shout, come up and say hi. We'll sign some autographs and all that stuff. More than happy. I will charge you £20 though.
Don't get carried away.
It's a Kistor signature is what it is. That's why it's £20. Let's not get it twisted.
It's got nothing to do with the podcast. It's my OnlyFans I'm talking about, mate.
Aye.
But I'm really looking forward to that, and it's really nice to meet Curry and meet the big guy at the top there with the blue room. Really, really good to meet these guys.
That'll be Andy, mate.
Do you know what? I was actually going to call him Anton there, and I'm like, why would I
Anton?
Do you know what it is? There's all these names like Michael and all that getting thrown about, and I'm like, Ryan, Kevin. Really, really good to see you. And,
I've been called worse, mate. Don't worry about it.
Listen, I'll probably call you worse next season. Don't worry. I'm winding you up. Right, all the best, guys.
Top man, Craig and Andy. Lastly, not least, thanks for coming on tonight, mate.
It's Andy.
Andy,
I did some checking. Obviously, I like to watch and see who's doing what in the league, just so I know what I'm talking about, you know. And from what I see, that St Mirren have got nothing to play for either tomorrow. They are the bottom of the championship group in the post split phase, so it's just for pride essentially for both teams. I'd like to see the kind of rotational squad out again, not McGregor, not or Kamara or Morelos. Going back to maybe a Lowry in there or another youngster, definitely Robbie back in between the sticks. I can see it maybe being again closer to the results we were seeing before last night, especially if balls go in the box. I think we'll be defending them a tad better. I'll say 2-0. Don't have a clue where the goals are going to come from. Probably Todd again. But yeah, I'm hoping it'll be a nice one to end the season and leave us with a smile on our face heading into the silly season of the transfer window.
No, that's exactly it, and that's all I'm looking forward to. I'll go with 2-0. 2-0 Saturday, sign us off and move on to next season. But as always, thanks for everyone for getting your comments in, watching, contributing to the pod. We appreciate it. We'll be live again on Sunday night to review the game and talk through a few other talking points that we've probably missed tonight. But as always, thanks for listening.